Okay, so how hard is the first day on the Camino? I guess to a large extent it depends where you start. But a lot of people who ask that question are starting in Saint-Jean to walk the Camino Frances. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Okay, so you might be a little bit worried about the first day on the Camino and how hard it is. Regardless of where you start, I would say one thing. Start slow and easy. Ease into it. And I've said this on other videos. Don't be, like a horse rushing out of the gate at the start of the race. It is not a race. The Camino is supposed to be a relaxed, reflective time. You don't need to be racing down the trail on day one. So wherever you start, take it easy and ease into it, because a lot of people do get injured in the first few days. Now, if you're thinking of starting in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, which is kind of becoming a traditional start point for the Camino Frances, you might be wondering about that as the first day. What's it like? Because you have to get over the Pyrenees on day one. Well, first of all, most people don't start there. Almost 50% of people start the Camino Frances in Sarria. They're just walking the last 100 kilometers into Santiago. But some people do like to start at what is thought to be a traditional start point, although it's not. There is no traditional start point. A lot of people like to start in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. And why is that? Well, one reason might be because of the movie The Way. That's where the main character started off from. Another reason, I think, is that people like the idea of starting in one country and then passing over the mountaintops into another country. Personally, I felt that was quite appealing. I like the idea of actually going over a mountain range, because you're going over the Pyrenees on day one, so that's interesting from a challenging point of view. And Saint-Jean is a beautiful little town. I mean, it's a wonderful place. It's not the sort of place I'd hang out for a holiday, but it's a beautiful place to start the Camino. And it's cool to start in a different country. So if you are starting out in Saint-Jean, let me just give you a few tips on that. So I've started there twice. Once I did that on my own, my very first Camino, and then a couple of years ago with my wife, Pat. And she is not as strong, not as determined as I am, so I was very conscious of the fact that I didn't want to freak her out on day one. And it can be a little bit intimidating, because as you're walking down the cobble streets of Saint-Jean, the main street sort of starts to rise a little bit, and you've got the little shops, and then as you're coming out of the town, the street goes right up, and it's like, oh no. And Pat was looking up this hill going, is it going to be like that? There is a little bit of a hill coming out of Saint-Jean, and then it flattens off a bit, and then it goes up a bit. But the main thing to think about is that if you're going to walk what is considered the normal distance for day one to Roncesvalles, that is about 25 kilometers. And it's over a mountaintop, and you are going up to an altitude of 1,400 meters. So remember, as you're going up a mountain, it's actually like the exertion is like you're walking a much longer distance. I've got these mosquitoes here. Let me give myself a bit of a spray. The exertion is extra. So I think it's Naismith's rule from hill walking. So if you're going 1,400 meters up, it's the equivalent of walking another 6.9 kilometers. So that 25 kilometer day feels like 32, and you're actually going up over this mountaintop. So that can be quite tricky, particularly on day one. You do not want to get injured on day one. So what I have tended to do, because my comfortable distance is about 22 kilometers, and doing that, this is 25, plus it's going over a mountain range, that's a little bit much for me. I've got bad joints and bad ankles and stuff like that, so I like to be able to break it up. So you can. Now, most people will walk the first day of the Camino Frances from Saint-Jean in one go. And they will start out early in the morning in Saint-Jean. They'll go up over the Pyrenees. I think it's about 15 k's until you get to the top. And then it's flat for a little bit, and then it's 9 k's down to the monastery at Roncesvalles. Most people do it in one day, so don't freak out about it. If you're worried about it and you want to break up the day, it's very easy to do. The first thing you can do is you can stay overnight. Unfortunately, there are only a couple of places where you can stay. One is Junto, which is only 6 k's out of Saint-Jean, so you really haven't got very far. The other one is Orrison, which is an albergue 8 kilometres out of Saint-Jean, and it's at the top of the very steep start of that first day. So that's quite a good place to stop, because that first 8 Ks is fairly strenuous, and in fact, the last couple of Ks up to Orrison, so from 6 to 8 Ks, is pretty steep, and you're going to be pretty tired by the time you get there. So there is an option to stay there at Orrison. But be warned, they only have a few beds. I think like 25 beds, something like that, and you have to book ahead. You book by email. I'll put the details down below the video. And a lot of people say it takes a long time to get a reply to your booking. So do allow, 3 or 4 weeks at least, and it does get booked out. So that's an option. You could start after 8 Ks, which is then leaving you how many? 17 to do on the next day, which is making it much more manageable going over the top of the mountains. There is another way to do it, and this is actually what I do. And there's a wonderful company called Express Bourricot. I'm not sure if you pronounce the last T. Express Bourricot or Express Bourricot. Again, I'll put the link down below the video. And they run the Mountain Shuttle. So basically, their office is just a few doors down from the Pilgrim office in Saint-Jean. And you can wander in there and say, look, I'm starting out tomorrow. I don't want to go the whole way to Roncesvalles. Could you pick me up at Orrison? Could you pick me up at the statue of the Virgin, Auberge? Or the third pickup point is Quatibol, which is the cross on the side of the path a little bit further up. So you could walk 8 Ks to Orrison and get picked up and brought back to Saint-Jean. You could walk just under 12 Ks to the statue of the Virgin and get picked up there and brought back to Saint-Jean. And then you could walk to Quatibol, the cross, which would be about 16 Ks, and get brought back down to Saint-Jean. So that's a really good way to break it up. And again, I'll put the link down below for that Mountain Shuttle service. So you might be wondering, that's great, I'll get picked up, then what? Well, they'll take you back the next day. So imagine you're going to walk up to the statue of the Virgin, which is about 12 Ks. They will tell you what time their little minibus is going to pick you up. You make sure you're there. The next morning, they'll pick you up in Saint-Jean. They'll take you up to the statue of the Virgin, and you can start from there. Likewise, from Orrison, the statue, or from the cross further up. So it's a really great way to break it up. If you're worried about, that strenuous first day, 25 Ks across the top of a mountain range, if you're getting on in age, or if you're worried about fitness or something like that, it's another way to do it. So remember, there's 2 ways you can break up that first day, starting in Saint-Jean. You could stay at the Albergue in Orrison, Auberge, they call them in France, or you can actually get picked up from one of 3 different locations on the mountain and brought back, and then dropped off again the next day to continue. The benefit of using the Mountain Shuttle on your first day is, of course, you don't have to carry all of your stuff with you, because you're coming back to Saint-Jean that first night. So you can carry a day pack, which again is just going to make that first day a little bit easier for you. And then the second day, they're going to take you up. You have all your stuff with you for the second day. Just be wary though, because if you're not used to walking in the mountains, the weather can change very quickly. Down in Saint-Jean, it might look fine and great. 1,000 meters higher, 3,000 feet higher, the weather could be very different. So if you are going to leave some of your stuff in Saint-Jean and take that Mountain Shuttle option, and you think, well, I'm just going to carry a day pack, make sure you've got something extra warm to put on, make sure you've got something to put on, if it's raining and stuff like that. So just be prepared in the mountains. So that breaks the day up quite nicely. You'll want a break probably by the time you get to Auberge Orrison. You could have some lunch there. They have a little cafe with some great lunch. You could then walk on a little bit further up to the cross or the statue of the Virgin and arrange to get picked up there. But you have to have it booked prior, so that they know where they're picking you up from and at what time. So there we go. The first day can be fairly tough if you're starting from Saint-Jean. Look, some people find it easy. I don't. I find that first stage pretty tiring, but wonderful. It's a fantastic day because you're going up, right up into the Pyrenees, fantastic views, the air. There's wild horses up there. The wildlife is great. You'll see vultures circling. Hopefully you get some good weather there. The 2 times that I've done it, one was glorious sunshine and the snow was still on the mountaintops. Second time with Pat, it was low cloud, very low visibility. freezing cold, and we just got over as quick as we could. But still, it was a great experience. So there we go. Is the first day hard? Wherever you start easy, start slow. But if you're starting in Saint-Jean, you do have a couple of options to break up that first day, just to ease yourself into it. So there we go. And as always, if you have any questions, any comments, just pop those in down below. If you're enjoying these videos, think about subscribing. Hit the subscribe button. If you hit the bell, that way you'll get notified every time we have a new video coming out. And I'll probably be doing these every 1 or 2 weeks because I love talking about the Camino. And thank you for watching. See you next time.